Dan Vollmer with Remax First Olympic. It's a beautiful day here in Lynchburg, Virginia, and coming to you today to talk a little bit about refinancing. It's been on my mind this week. My wife and I are actually refinancing our house. We moved in 2001, so we're refinancing this week from a 6% interest rate down to a 4% interest rate, so we're pretty excited about that. And so I wrote my article this week on the Lynchburg Market Report about refinancing and whether or not it's the right thing for you to do and what are the main points you should consider if you're thinking about refinancing. So I'd love for you to check that out and give me your feedback. Something I wanted to talk about right now, though, is a common mistake I see people make when they refinance, or have seen people make in the past. And that is this: they will often refinance their existing personal debt into their mortgage when they refinance. Usually it falls into three categories. One, it's existing consumer debt. Maybe it's credit cards or auto payments, sometimes student loans, but not so often. So that's one area. The second area is they will use their refinance to fund fix-up or improvement on their home, which is not always a bad idea. You just have to be careful. And then the third thing is that people will do what's called a cash-out refinance, and that's where they just take out extra money. They refinance for more than they owe. They take that extra cash and they just use it for whatever. And you got to watch this, okay? Because first of all, I can't envision a situation where I would recommend rolling your consumer debt, credit card debt, and so forth into your mortgage. Because here's what happens in any of these scenarios. Let's say you bought your house for $150,000, okay? You make your payments, you go along 4 or 5 years, and then you decide, well, let me refinance. I can get a better interest rate, and I've got this credit card debt, and I've got this car loan, and maybe I want to build a garage. And so all that's going to cost me $50,000. So now I take out a new mortgage for $200,000. And that gets rid of my credit card debt, and I build my garage, and everything's great. And then you go down a couple more years, and you say, you know what, I think I'd like to sell my house. Remember, you refinanced and you took out a $200,000 loan. Well, let's say 3 or 4 or 5 years goes by, and you want to sell your house, but it's only worth $190,000 or $185,000. And now you can't sell because you put all this extra debt, all this extra money into your mortgage. I've had clients move here from out of state, and they were advised by their previous lender to roll their credit card debt and so forth back into their new mortgage, and when they wanted to sell so they could move here, they couldn't. And they ended up having to do a short sale, which, worked out, but it was a very tricky situation. Or people who have made major improvements to their home. Talked to one this week, and they not necessarily over-improved their home, but they spent money on projects and put that into their mortgage. Now their house isn't worth what they thought it was. And so selling it for what it's worth is going to be awfully tricky. And I know people rely on their lender and they rely on their mortgage expert, and it's tough because you don't know necessarily the best things to do. So just please be careful. I want you to do what's right and what's reasonable, and sometimes rolling some of that extra debt is good, or smart, I should say. And sometimes it's really not the wise thing to do. So look at all angles. Call me if you have any questions. Seek out competent mortgage professionals that can really look out for your best interests. If you've got questions, I'd love for you to email me. You can email me anytime, dan@danvollmer.com. Of course, find me on Facebook or on Twitter. I use both of those pretty frequently. And check out my website, danvollmer.com. I post articles there once a week under the Lynchburg Market Report. And as I said, this week's article references refinancing and whether that's something you should consider or not. So I'd love your feedback on that. And finally, you can always call me. 434-420-1238 is my cell phone number, and I'd love to hear from you. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for taking a few minutes to listen to this, and I really hope you have a great day. Take care.